Welcome back, everybody.
Show number 974.
And you know what? Tonight, I mean, it's a great time to be alive as long as you don't watch the news. But welcome back, everybody, to the Off Lip Radio Show. Tonight, Neil?
We invited him back. We didn't know when we invited him back, not knowing that he would be alive to come back. Because he decides he wants to go off to like
Timor,
Indonesia, Northern Australia, which, he did a little traveling.
And we'll find out more about it.
But you know what? I thought he went alone with like a crew of guys, but
you went straight to it.
Huh?
Straight to it. He literally waited like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in East, so when Neil, I'm gonna jump ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you're in East Timor,
Do as East.
on a shark reconnaissance, looking for sharks that have been extinct and possibly never seen before, but you're going with the South Africans that happen to be 30-year-old single girls. It's not a bad gig. But let's just jump backwards before you decide to go there. Dave Ebert's back. Welcome back, Dave. Yeah. For those of you who don't know Dave, he's literally written the book on sharks. Earlier you said, what, 53? Is that what you said?
53, yeah.
53 sharks he's actually named. And to me, to hit the hammer on the nail of what you do, all you gotta say is you've actually named 53 species of shark.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
He's award-winning now.
And please,
winning.
you recently got a big award.
Yeah,
Big, huge award that you voted for yourself.
Everybody votes for themselves. Please.
Nominated. I didn't vote for myself.
Okay.
I was nominated. Yeah.
What'd you get?
Is the Ocean Census Taxonomy Award for basically naming species.
Oh.
What does taxonomy?
Taxonomy means like naming things. When they say I named 53 species. And so with this award, actually, I'm going to be able to go to.
Did you have to prove that, or did you just go, "Hey, I named 50"? Stick your hand in the air.
Well, yeah,
because
because I have a publication record.
They can
So
read.
They can check it out.
All right,
They can read it.
Okay.
So because of this award, I can now go to South Africa next month, and I'm going to be working on some new species.
Oh.
So next time I see you guys, it'll be more than 53.
Are we looking for new or lost?
We found them. These were
Okay.
lost species that we found.
Okay.
Where are they at?
These are in the Western Indian Ocean.
Western Indian Ocean.
So you're thinking South Africa, Tanzania, Mozambique, Madagascar.
All right, but are they mainly rays or
Sharks and rays.
Sharks and rays.
Rays are just flat sharks.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
all they
we
are.
got that
If you
figured
stepped
out.
on a shark, it turns
Yeah,
into a
you
ray.
squash it down and
Yeah.
put it in.
Yeah.
Okay, but my question is, you've rediscovered sharks that have been labeled
Lost.
extinct.
Yeah. Well, these are species that they haven't been labeled extinct, but they're lost because nobody's seen them in decades.
Alrighty.
And so what I do is I go. I never actually look for species that are undescribed or unnamed. I go look for species that haven't been seen for decades.
Okay.
And I go to places that are kind of out of the way, which is hence where I just went this recent expedition I did. And so I go to look for these things, and it involves going to fish markets and just out of the way places that people wouldn't think to go, like Timor-Leste or also known as East Timor. And so I go there looking for these things, and sometimes I do find new species.
Which you went to Timor, which not long ago was in a war.
Yeah, Timor
Right.
was just they went through they were a colony of Portugal for centuries, and then in 1974-75 they became independent, and then the Indonesians invaded, and they went and spent the next 30 years in a war. And they're actually one of the most newest countries in the world. They only became a country in the early 2000s.
You heard about things or saw things that you would never think could ever happen.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing experience to go through.
Did they beat Indonesia? Or did Indonesia give up?
They finally just called it quits.
They said, we're done fighting?
Yeah. But I mean, if you want to learn something, go check out like the war that went on there. It was brutal. And some of the places we went to, there's literally like, thousands of people were just like killed in these places.
Can I just inject you? Earlier you said it's lost sharks, but I thought earlier you did say that on East Timor's trip, you discovered a shark that was extinct?
No, and in Timor,
That was an 18-foot crocodile.
that was a big crocodile. No, Timor. Actually, the cool thing there is this is I love this. Keeps me going. I gets me motivated. This is a place that has not ever. The sharks and rays have never been surveyed there before, and so because of a contact I had there, I had an opportunity to go there because I always work with people in country. I never just go there myself because I don't know anything. So I work with people in country.
What gives you the passion? I mean, you go into East Timor, which don't even know what chicken is, right? You don't know what you're eating,
Right.
You don't know where
everything's
You don't
chicken.
know where you're sleeping,
Right.
You don't know what the combination is. You know nothing. You know this crocodile. What gives you the passion to like? I'm going to go over here and check that out.
It's a curiosity.
And that no one's done it before?
Yeah, I'm an explorer at heart, and it's a curiosity. So that kind of combination.
Christopher Columbus, TC.
Of
Yeah.
sharks.
And I
He's
wanna
not
go-
looking for land.
He's the new Christopher.
I want to go someplace that no one's ever been before, and say I'm like the first people like actually try to start to survey stuff. And so I work with NGOs there. I work with government officials, university people, and we're trying to like develop a program there now to learn something about the sharks and rays of this country.
Right.
And so that's just I've been doing this for like 40 years, and I'm as
What
excited
did you
now
learn?
as ever.
What did you learn on this trip about sharks of Timor?
Well, we learned that we don't know anything about them there. We found some species that were known species, but they were not known from there.
Do you all of a sudden you go, oh, I see one, and you just scurry through your book, or
No, we go to fish market. Well, most this is the book I read. This one's only good for like because it's so big, just hitting sharks and then snouts.
Keep your door open.
Yeah, keep the door open. This one's good for the
All
field.
you ladies, this is how you keep your husband in
Ladies.
check.
Yeah.
That thing.
When you're in the field, you just want to take this one. with you.
okay.
So anyway, the thing is though, because we don't even know what occurs there, we want to find out what species occur there, and some of the species are critically endangered species.
And why do you need to find out what they are? Why do you need to? What's the goal?
Well, the goal is to identify. Once you can identify what's there, then I pass the information on to people like with NGOs or with government officials there, that then they can decide what they want to do.
Okay.
So I'm not there to like tell them what to do or anything.
Right.
I'm just there. Here's I have an expertise. My big thing for going is because as I said, I'm an explorer. I'm kind of like a curiosity.
Right.
But because I have this expertise, I pass it along to people there, and then hopefully with that information they can take and do something with.
Was there on that 3 month trip? Was it 3 months?
It was a month.
A month. What was it? Was there a moment on your 1 month trip that you go, "We're gonna get the fuck out of here right now"?
Not this year. I've had those trips.
Yeah. Well, you said
I've been on those
Ecuador. No, where were you?
I was in. I've done other trips. Like I was in Ecuador last year and stuff, where it was just like, I don't know what I'm doing here because this could go really badly really quickly, and stuff. And I've been doing this for a long time, but this year was just great because the biggest problem we had besides like tropical diseases and crocodiles was like just finding
Are
really
you
cool
packing?
sharks.
Are you carrying anything?
No.
Are you packing anything? Nothing.
He's packing a high fives.
Yeah.
High fives. That's all you need, Neil.
the high
That's all you need in the world.
just-
High fives are
just
way
gotta-
better than
High
stuff.
five to Willie Morris too, by the way.
Thank you.
God
My
bless
hat I
him.
got wearing?
May you rest in
Oh,
I
peace.
got Willie's hat on.
Okay, cool.
Willie would love this show. Willie would love him.
Oh, he'd love to talk. He's a fisherman, oceanographer.
okay.
He loves everything about it.
Oh, cool.
My question is, when you discover something that has been previously said isn't around,
Yeah.
is that better than discovering
Well,
something that's you're naming versus
yeah.
extinct?
Yeah, in a way, finding something that hasn't been seen. I don't throw around extinction. It's we just haven't seen it, and a lot of times it's just a matter of nobody bothers to go look for where this thing occurs. And a lot of the places I go, people don't generally go there, and so like I talk kind of jokingly about it, but it's kind of hard to do because you got different diseases, you got the wildlife, you don't know what you might run into as far as people issues. And
If Hollywood came knocking and said, "Hey, Dave, there's a $20 million budget
for me,
$20 million budget for you. You can put 4 or 5 in your pocket.
Yeah, okay.
It's $15 million to make it
yeah.
a new Jaws movie.
Yeah.
Would you make it?
Oh,
And
hell yeah.
If you did, who would be? Give me the three actors in the boat.
I don't. God, that's a great question. I'd have to. Thanks for asking, by the way,
No
guys.
problem.
Denzel Washington?
No, not Denzel.
I don't know.
Mel Gibson, maybe?
Daniel Craig.
young-
Daniel, you could be Daniel Craig.
Well, again, the older me, maybe, but like who'd play the young me? That'd be the good question. I don't know.
Young you. Oh.
Well, it could be.
I say young me like the 20, 30 year old.
How do you see that Jaws 2?
Listen to Jaws. Jaws was a monster movie. Okay, this is the real deal.
Okay.
And so, I don't know who are some of the hot young actors.
I don't say necessarily who's hot. Like who
What's the Scots?
would it be? Like
What's the Scottish dude who played in Chasing Maverick? What was his name?
oh, that guy, yeah,
That guy. What's that guy's name?
I don't know some of
trivia
the young
right now?
actors,
Huh?
but the older
Put
me,
it in the
like,
comments.
What?
Comment.
Put it in the comments.
You know who? Anybody out there know the
Who was in
Scottish
Mavericks?
dude Chasing
Yeah.
Mavericks? We'd like to hear it.
Yeah, put it out there stuff. So,
Would it be Tom Cruise?
what? That'd be an option for me to consider. We're close enough in age and stuff, and Mel Gibson possibly another one, but I don't know who'd. So I think the older guys, because I know some of those actors
When they were younger, and like
who
the
played the
fighting
young?
game.
Because the younger one,
Tom Cruise.
well, listen,
Paul Newman?
Who
Oh, new guy.
Paul Newman.
he's dead though.
I know, but if he was alive, that's what I'm saying.
I don't
like a
know.
40-year-old Paul Newman.
I don't know. Well, I'm trying to think of somebody because the really good stories are like when I was like in my late 20s and 30. Those are some of the wild stories, and so that'd be where I'd focus a lot of the movie on.
Can I change? I just want to
Where
change
did you
something this serious moment for a second. Sharks are prehistoric.
Yeah,
Rays are prehistoric.
Yep.
And you're talking about sharks that haven't been seen in decades or possibly are extinct. Are sharks the canary in the coal mine?
Absolutely. These are the sharks I look for, and this is why it's even better for these sharks. These lost sharks I look for is because they are, as you said, they're literally the canary in the coal mine. Because a lot of these species are vanishing, and people don't even realize it. They're like literally disappearing. I was involved in a study earlier this year with a colleague of mine, Peter Kine, and his graduate student, Julia Constance, and she was the lead author on this. And we actually declared a species called the Java stingery extinct. And that's the first time a marine species, a fish, has been declared extinct. And part of the journey we went on, we went to Jakarta and went out in the area where this last thing, and this is a species that has not been seen since 1862. And we went out there and we
1862?
1862. This is what I do. We went out there.
Someone recognized that shark and wrote it down?
They described it, named it based on one specimen at a fish market in Jakarta. We went to the fish market there, which is still there, 160
Get out of
something-
here, really?
Yeah, 160 years or whatever later. But you look around there and you realize why this thing's wrong. This thing probably needed mangrove areas, which are all gone because Jakarta is built on like basically swampland. So they're still reclaiming land there. And so its habitat was gone. It was probably fished heavily. So this is a species that probably went extinct like 100 years ago.
Right.
Okay, so it's probably gone. But again, if I mention this, I would guarantee most people watching or listening to the show right now have never heard of this species.
Right.
And
What's
this
it called again?
It's called a Java stingery. And this is the kind of thing that I look for. It's a flat shark, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And so but this is the thing I'm looking for because these are disappearing. There's the only one that's extinct. There's a lot of them that we just haven't seen. Okay. And so we haven't seen these things, and yet these things are disappearing, and everybody looks at white sharks or tiger sharks or manta rays.
Whale shark.
Okay, whale sharks.
Boring old
Okay,
whale shark.
Yeah, so they're they're cool, but they're boring. Okay,
Boring.
but these things that I'm looking for, people haven't seen in sometimes decades or in a century or more.
Right.
And so we got this one that we've declared it officially extinct. There's a couple other species that we're considering now are potentially extinct because we haven't seen them in decades. And some, going back 100 years, we haven't seen these things. One good story of this whole thing is one of the highlights of my career was we're in northern Australia, and my good friend Pete Kine, who's been studying river sharks, which was a species I actually have a history with going
So you
back.
have river sharks and you have ocean sharks.
freshwater shark,
This is a shark that we thought lived in rivers, but actually lives in kind of estuarine areas. And I have a history with this because my professor, when I was a graduate student, 35 years ago, we thought this thing was actually extinct. And my friend Peter Kine's been working on this with his graduate student, Julia Constance again, and they found this shark has a very narrow range of habitat. It lives in northern Australia. And it's probably the last stronghold for this species because it used to occur through Indonesia and other areas in Southeast Asia, and it's disappeared now. And this is the kind of thing, this is a good story that we actually found this thing. But having a chance to go out and tag a couple of these with Pete and Julia was just a freaking highlight of my career. Because seeing this thing actually in the wild, and this was a species we thought was extinct at one time. So it's just cool. It gives me like,
Wow.
and it motivates me. Like I'm just going like I've been doing this for like 40 years. I'm as excited now as I was when I was like a 5-year-old kid.
Well, let's back up.
We know,
when you were,
we noticed that. We noticed
yeah,
that.
no, you're still your enthusiasm is obvious.
Yeah.
But the monster movie about Jaws.
Yeah.
Didn't it kind of fire you up to get involved in all this?
I was actually into it before Jaws came out. But what Jaws did,
When did you first see the movie?
Yeah, where did it start?
I saw Jaws.
What year was Jaws?
Jaws was 1975.
Well, there we go.
And I was in high school.
How much did you pay to get in the door?
Probably paid $2 to get in the door. And I went to the Steinbeck Theater on Cannery Row in Monterey.
Oh, you
Get
did?
out of here, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
First time I saw that. And the first time I saw Jaws, it was a cool movie. We liked it and stuff. But I grew up in Monterey, so we'd go diving and stuff. Yeah, the sharks.
Did you go alone, or did you have like a little?
I went with my brother and some friends
Yeah.
I grew up
Yeah.
with and stuff. And
Yeah.
Did it scare you?
no, I thought it was cool. There was a few cool. When the head pops out of the boat, it's kind of
That's like that's
you can't you didn't expect that one.
Jumps out, right?
It's classic Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
But the thing is I know like Peter Benchley and Steven Spielberg years later talked about how they regretted making the movie because it was bad for sharks.
Mm-hmm.
And as a side note, my professor for my PhD, Leonard Campagno, he actually designed the mechanical shark used in the movie Bruce.
That's right.
So I had
and he's in your book, right? He's in the end of one of your books.
Yeah, he played a huge role.
TC and I in none of your books.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'm still writing books, by the way.
You got a future for that.
There's still hope for you guys. But the thing was like they regretted because they thought it was bad. It was bad for sharks.
Yeah.
But the reality was is people were already fishing sharks. Sharks were already being finned, and all of this was taking place, but nobody knows it. And what the Peter Benchley, Steven Spielberg movie did is it brought sharks out of the shadows and into the light.
Right.
And because of that, people in the late 70s and early 80s started asking these questions like, well, how many shark species are there in the world? How old do they get? Where do they move to? And all these questions started coming up. And what that did is it basically, between Spielberg and Benchley, they literally helped create the modern field of shark research.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough that I was starting graduate school in the early 1980s.
They opened up.
They opened it up because people wanted to know about these things. And so there's opportunities became available for young people like myself to pursue shark research.
I feel like if you were to explain that to them, maybe they wouldn't regret their decision to make that movie as much.
No, yeah. Yeah. I mean, Peter Benchley's passed away in 2006. Spielberg's around. I've seen him make a few quotes about that, but he really, what they understand is sharks were being finned, sharks were being taken at that time. They just brought it to the out of the shadow.
The public didn't know about sharks at that point.
No, it got people excited. I mean, suddenly again, because I grew up in the Monterey area, they would, before Jaws, there'd be a shark attack, and it'd be like a one-day story. Oh, some surfer got hit by a shark. After Jaws, every attack became like a major news story, and you guys you would know that too.
Sure.
You're being surfers, that became
Lou
well known.
Bourne. I remember when Lou Bourne.
I remember that. I remember that too.
That was a big story.
Yep, that was a huge story
Yeah.
because it was a huge story at the time, and this was about 1981 in Monterey, unfortunate shark attack victim. But I can remember like when I was a graduate student in South Africa, I went to South Africa to do my PhD, as I've mentioned to you before, and I would see sharks being finned. I would see sharks being taken for the liver
And when you say
oils.
finned, is it for soup and
It's for
food?
soup. Yeah. I mean, I would be
Is
like,
it good?
Okay, I've had it, and it tastes
soup.
like chicken.
But can we use chicken for that?
I don't know what the attraction is. I've had it, but it's like.
Is it an aphrodisiac?
You hear all kinds of stories. It'll clear up the common cold. It'll clear up whatever ails you. Could
Whatever you believe,
could
right?
help your sex life. Who knows? It could do a lot of things. But the point is like I saw this stuff going on, and this was not nowadays. And this is the other thing too is nowadays like things like shark conservation and finning are like big topical things. Back in the 1980s and into the 1990s, when I started out, there was no field of shark conservation. Literally, again, because of all of this, the whole field people became aware of it. In fact, I don't know if I told you this, but in 1989, I co-authored my first book with my professor when I was a graduate student with Leonard Campagno. And in this book, Sharks and Rays of Southern Africa, I wrote a section on shark conservation and management. And that was the first time anybody had ever written published something on shark conservation.
Yeah.
On saving sharks.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was, and in that section in the book, if you get a hold of the book, I talked about how sharks were being finned. I talked about we calculated at that time that there's probably about 63 million sharks being caught a year in bycatch, and then about 15 years later, a colleague of mine, Shelley Clark, actually did a more quantitative paper and estimated about maybe as many as 73 million. So yet, not having doing the same quantitative analysis, we estimate almost the same number of sharks are being taken, and we did it in 1989, and this didn't get published until the early 2000s.
I think the best safety net sharks have is that humans can't swim underwater.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you said earlier, you said there was one ocean species extinct. Is that what you said earlier?
The Java stingery. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
On land, what is
Correct.
that number?
On,
Of extinct animals.
there's a lot more.
Yes.
I can't tell you what the number is, but there's a lot more.
So
Yeah.
there's safety in the sea for these
There
creatures.
there is.
Yeah.
The species that are probably most impacted are coastal species in countries like in Indonesia and other places. I'm not picking on just them, but Africa and stuff, because they're, people, again, I've seen this firsthand, so I really appreciate it, but they don't have like a Trader Joe's or a Whole Food or even a Safeway to go to.
Right.
You go out and you fish. You don't fish that day or catch anything. You
They're
don't
not
eat.
eating. Yeah,
Right.
I get it.
And so I'm very
And is
sensitive.
government regulation there?
In a lot of not in a lot of places, no. Or there might be some regulation, but who's going to enforce it? Because you're going to go in there and tell somebody like, "Oh, you can't fish today." It means you can't eat.
And you're taking a skiff off the beach on a little
Right.
island and no one's
Right.
there anyways.
Right. So the point is like, yeah. So I'm very sensitive. And that's why I say I never go in. It's like, well, you should be doing this. I just I gather information. Most of my stuff I gather is like how to identify stuff, and I do. When I was in Indonesia, I ran a training workshop on just how to identify stuff so they can know what species you have. Because some species are fine, they're okay. Others are not.
I feel like if you didn't act that way, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they'd be like, nope, you're not getting away with our fin soup.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know?
yeah.
Save Our Seas.
Save Our Seas.
Sent you to. Okay, Save Our Seas sent you to Timor,
Yeah, I have Save Our
North
Seas.
Australia,
and-
Indonesia.
yeah, and they.
To what do they want you to do?
Well, the thing with the Save Our Seas, I have a Keystone grant, and they've been one of the few.
What's a Keystone grant?
It's one of their large, long-term, like 3-year grant I have, and they've been one of the few organizations that has been very good in terms of funding the Lost Shark, like the Lost Sharks Project, the stuff I do, because most organizations they want something with white sharks or whale sharks and stuff, and when you start doing something like this, where you're looking for, okay, a lot of them are the sharks you find at fish markets are dead, but at least I can. If you find something that's been caught, and that is there is a bit of a proof of life because they're still around, and Save Our Seas Foundation has been one of the just outstanding organizations in the world that actually has been supportive of this type
Are
of
those
research.
sexy sharks you just talked about, are they protected?
Yeah, the white sharks and manta rays. These are some of the
whale
most,
sharks.
These are some of the most protected species in the world.
They don't go on the barbecue.
No.
Let me ask you-
But what you're fighting for are the ones that are like lost in the shadows.
Yes. The stuff I'm looking for, people haven't seen.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Who is the baddest ass shark out there?
You mean when you say badass, it'd be.
Yeah, I mean, what
Who would win the-
one,
who
one
would
that
win the MMA?
Dave Ebert would go, I'm not getting out of the boat right now.
Oh, you mean go in the water?
Yeah, I'm not getting out of the boat.
Well, that'd be like your white shark, tiger shark, some of those. I'm not going to go in the water with those things. You're crazy.
But what about these people? You see them on Facebook, Instagram. They're petting the great white. They're petting them. They're schmoozing them. And
That's stupid animal tricks. If you ever watch a movie, watch a movie called Grizzly Man. It came out about 15, 20 years ago.
He got eaten up by a grizzly.
Guy gets eaten by a grizzly at the end of the movie. You can go out and you can jump in the water with these things like 9 out of 10 times, but that 10th time may not end well for you. I mean, some of the people you see like on YouTube, these guys have spent a lot of time in the water with sharks, and so they kind of have a better idea what they're doing. But the problem is people watch that stuff and they think like, oh, I'm going to go dive with this 14-foot tiger shark, and you might get away with it. It might not end well for you. You don't know, but it's a wild animal. And
Right.
as much as
It's like a lion or whatever.
it's like a lion or a grizzly bear or a mountain
tiger.
lion, tiger.
So the striped wetsuit, the magnetic ankle bracelet,
Let's talk about the
the
bracelet.
metal chain wetsuit they
Yeah.
wore for a
Let's
while.
talk about the
It attracts sharks.
It does?
Yeah.
All that shit attracts them?
Yeah, so like what you want to do, like when you go surfing, you make sure like Neil wears the chain link.
So Sean,
chain
who's
wetsuit.
Yeah.
And a
our
bracelet.
dear
And
friend
the
Sean
bracelet.
Rovine, a sponsor of the show.
Hi, Sean.
He's not here tonight. His wife got a
He's
hole in
probably
one.
watching.
His
A
wife
hole in
got a
one.
hole in one the other night.
Oh.
Other day. Yeah.
Sean, how many you got?
0. Right?
Yep.
He wore the ankle bracelet.
Right. And he swore by it. Until
Swore by it.
he heard
Yeah.
what Dave you said.
Yeah.
It's more,
The it's like a
It,
magnet, right?
what it does, it puts out signals like magnetic signals in the water. Sharks cue in on that, and so every shark's different in terms of how it interprets that. But yeah, that's what they cue in on.
There's signals like
they
that?
They have these like pores under their snout called ampulla lorenzini, and that's basically
Called what?
It's called the name of the thing is the structure is called ampullae of Lorenzini.
Okay.
Lorenzini is the guy that discovered it,
Okay.
and so but that's what they use to home in on stuff like through electromagnetic waves in the water.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're putting out all these waves, whether you're wearing a chainmail suit or your little bracelet thing and stuff, you're putting out signals to the sharks like, "Hey, come eat me."
And then they can feel those signals far away?
Hang on.
Well, they don't.
Is that going to be your epitaph when you're dead and gone?
Probably not. Maybe yours.
Come eat me.
No.
But that signal they feel that?
Yeah, when they get in within a certain range, they home in on that. Yeah.
See?
Neil, I want to remember the last time we had Dave on the show, you said something to me that has struck a chord and I will never forget. And this is what you said. If I were to paddle out at Manresa, you said 5 sharks would know I paddled out.
Yeah. If they're
You s-
around,
if they're like
You'll get
currently,
there.
You'll
currently
get
we know
you'll
they're
get
there right
visited
now.
by. You'll be visited by.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
there'd be their range of those signals. They would feel me in the water.
Yeah, they'll
5
know.
of them would know I'm paddling
don't
out.
know you're there. Yeah, they'll know you're there.
That is so crazy,
You
Neil.
know, I say you guys surf. You know, when I was growing up, I used to do a lot of spearfishing, free diving. You know, can grow up here in the bay. And so, like, you just get, you know, you kind of like, you just don't think, you just go do it because you grow up here.
Right.
Well, you know, things can happen, whatever stuff. But I have to tell you, like, as I've gone along in my career, the sort of 15, 20-year-old me would not be doing what the 60-something-year-old me would be doing now because, there's sort of that wisdom with age thing. Like,
Right.
do I really need to go out there and, like, shoot
Well,
some fish?
Wisdom
Earlier we were-
wisdom with age is a good quote.
Exactly.
Earlier, we were across the street. And we had a taco, and
Just a taco?
the waitress said that she was spearfishing off Steamer Lane, and she had a bunch of fish hanging on the
Yeah,
side of
yeah.
her. She
She's
had
the buffet.
Yeah, she was the
is that
buffet.
a good idea?
No. Well, you got. Well, if you remember, she says she got harassed by the sea lions, which sea lions are actually probably more of a nuisance than the sharks are.
Right.
And so I said, well, you should just throw them in the boat, or we used to bring one. We'd bring
float, inner
we'd bring
tube
like
or
a
something.
float, like an inner tube, and then have like a net in the middle. Just
Right.
throw it in there because if the seal or the shark goes after that, oh well, you know.
Because it's kind of like you're the toothpick and the fish is the olive, right?
Yeah, you don't want. You just want to you want them to go for the inner tube and not your body.
Of all the sharks, 53 you named, and all the travels you've done, and the lost sharks that you've rediscovered, is there a favorite?
My favorite is the one I haven't discovered yet.
Really?
Yeah.
There's more.
Is there a name for it, or is it just?
I haven't found it yet,
Oh,
but
so
I'm
you-
looking for it.
It's the off the lip radio show
Is it
shark.
around? Is there one?
I'll find it. I don't.
So there's-
I'm sure there's somebody
So
out
your
there.
favorite one is the next one.
Yeah. That's what keeps me going. This stuff. I get so excited about. It's okay. Okay, great. That one's
What are
done.
you going to name it?
I don't know.
We'll work on that, Neil.
Maybe I'll have back on the show next time I discover one.
So 40 years you've been doing this now,
Yeah.
and so 53 you've named. How many have you rediscovered? Do you know that number?
It's in the hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah,
Of sharks that people have not seen.
Yeah.
And you see them.
There's
I'm there right here.
There are species that I found back in like the late 80s and early 90s that had not been seen. Some of them had not been seen close to 100 years at that time, and they haven't been seen since.
He's like an astronaut.
So
You are. You're like out in space.
Yeah.
Doing that.
I'm an aquanaut.
Aquanaut.
Are the sharks of the world doing good? Are they?
Yeah, this book is doing really well, by the way. But get your copy
Amazon.
now on Amazon. As far as sharks, it's people. It's the easy answer would be to say, like, yeah, sharks are in trouble, and yeah, there are places in the world that would be an accurate statement. But some places, like actually here in California, we've actually done some good stuff, and shark populations are doing well, as you would know by the white shark population, because things like white sharks are very high on the trophic list as far as predators. You notice them; they're around. Well, they're only there because everything underneath them is doing very well. And this is the thing gets into this whole lost shark thing is all these species that are lower in the trophic level, these sharks and rays, they disappear. By the time you recognize that this white shark or this tiger shark's in trouble, the chances are all of this other stuff's been wiped out.
Right.
And nobody's paying attention to that.
Okay.
Because going and looking for these sharks that I'm looking for, people are not really, again, not paying a lot of attention to them.
Yeah.
And so...
Is there you travel all over the world looking for sharks? Is there a place that you haven't traveled to yet that you want to?
That's a good question. Like the Timor-Leste.
You've been there.
I know, but if you'd
Never
asked me
before.
like 8 months ago, I didn't know I was going to go there.
Yeah.
It was because I had a contact there that I started corresponding with, and I said like, can I go there?
The cute one in the photos you.
Yes.
Just kidding, Dan.
Yeah.
Just kidding you.
Yeah. So no, we went to the.
It's amazing that all of his colleagues are like 30-year-old female grad students.
No, that's not. There's some rusty bastards on there. There's some rusty
Is
old
there a
bastards.
rusty bastard?
Oh
on there?
yeah.
There's some
yeah.
rusty bastards.
There's a few. Yeah.
There's 18-foot crocodiles, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Well, we haven't talked about the crocodiles.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
we can because you were saying earlier that in East Timor it was crocodile world.
Well, the thing is, as I explained to you earlier, it was interesting because we went to northern Australia first, and we went out to tag what are called river sharks, which my colleague Pete Kine's working on, a rusty old guy, and he's not that old.
There is
but
one.
There's one. Yeah.
Okay.
But we went out to tag these, and this was like a huge thing for me, like a bucket list thing to go out and this, and it was great to go out. We caught a couple of these with this grad student. And
You fished for him.
We fished for him. We caught him because he knows where to get these things, and so that was huge. But you know when you go out, and this is in Australia, so there's this whole checklist. You go down like, okay, don't sit on the edge of the boat, stay to the middle of the boat, and all this because if you're sitting like on the edge of the boat, the crocs might come out of the water and grab you and take you. And so like there's no.
Wow.
And as I showed you some pictures earlier,
So there was no swimming on that trip?
no. You just kind of stand back in that. So there's this whole checklist you go through
When you're walking down the street, walk in the middle of the street. Don't walk on the edge.
Yeah, then you go to Timor, and there's none of this stuff here. It's just like, don't walk off the road into the bush there because there might be a crocodile there, and like almost every place we went, there was some story about somebody who got taken by a croc a few days ago or last week or last month.
It'd be like living in Capitola, and all of a sudden,
With crocodiles.
someone gets eaten.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
don't
Gone.
walk on the beach at night.
Gone.
Oh yeah. Then I was there in the dry season. So in the wet season, when there's water everywhere, you can't go out some of the roads because there's too many crocodiles
On the road.
on the road. And these are I use the word road loosely.
dirt
'cause
road, probably.
They're dirt
Flooded.
roads, yeah. And so there's nobody giving you like a little checklist of stuff to do. You just kind of talk to the local guys there. And I was showing you pictures earlier. You're kind of walking across a bridge and all these crocodiles, because if they have a good area to hunt, they take up residence and they'll stay there. And sometimes they'll stay there for years. And so we're going across a bridge like in East Timor, and there's this big like 15-foot crocodile sitting down there.
Just a 15-footer?
Yeah, just sitting there.
Just 15 feet.
You're up in a little bridge like this, just maybe 10 feet below you, and you're looking at this little part of the bridge there. You can walk down the edge of the river or whatever. And this thing, you see his head sitting there, and his head drops down. You don't see him. His head comes up. If his head's down there, you could totally see walking up to this thing, kind of looking on the river there like that,
Gone.
and then you're gone.
Right.
And so, as I was showing you some pictures, you're walking on one side of the bridge, and you're looking at this big crocodile. On the other side of the bridge, there's a bunch of kids playing in the creek, like maybe I don't know, 50 meters away or so.
They got extra kids. Not a big
and
deal.
so-
They can lose one.
And so people are just going about their business there, and just like, and I asked the guys there, I said like, how many people get taken by crocodiles here? And this is in East Timor. And they go, a lot. And I was like, do you have a number? What's a lot? And they go, no, it's a lot. So
Is that common? Crocodiles on your travels?
Yeah, in some areas, yeah, it's not unusual. I've been in crocodile areas before, but I'd never been in an area like this where it's just like they were so many. That's why I kind of was on my brain, because every place you go, it's like you see some little lagoon there, and it's like you don't want to get too close there because there's probably a crocodile. And literally, they can stay underwater for hours, and you never see them. But if you're having to be standing there doing something, taking a picture, you might get taken. Or you're on the beach there, and like some crocodile comes out of the bush and walks across the beach, and because these are saltwater crocodiles, by the way, and they just jumps in the surf and goes swimming out in the surf. So which you think like, okay, we're not going to go swimming today.
Wow.
And so like, so it's just one of the other hazards you think about. That,
Yeah.
And I've been in areas before, like in Africa, where there's crocodiles. And you kind of know, but Timor is definitely a place where you really had to watch out where you were. If you walked off you didn't want to walk off the road because you might be okay, but it might not be too good.
So, Central South America, Indonesia. What's next?
Next year's Africa.
Back to Africa.
Yeah. I'm actually going to Africa next month.
Not because
But
African shark people are 30 and female.
No, I'm going to South. I'm going.
See,
Get your mind out of the gutter, man.
It's him. I didn't say shit.
I had to do it.
I didn't say,
No,
I didn't say nothing.
I'm going to South Africa next month and be working at the in the museum collection at the South African Institute for Aquatic Biodiversity. And then, but then next year I'm going to be going actually more on an expedition looking for some lost sharks. I haven't figured out exactly where I'm going to go yet, but I'll tell you about it next year.
And can I just say, I feel like South Africa is a little bit more responsible with their shark population down there.
South Africa is different than the rest of Africa.
Because you're mixing surfing with.
Well, I think I've probably told you this before, but South Africa was the first country in the world back in 1990-91 to have protections on white sharks. Mm-hmm. And I was actually involved with that. Mm-hmm. I was a grad student at the time, and my professor and I actually provide the scientific data to the government to develop their policy. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of another little kind of a cool thing I had early on in my career. Yeah. And then after that, Australia did it, California did it, now everybody does it.
And going back to South Africa, what are you looking for?
Well, I'm actually working on. There was a collection made of sharks and rays last year that are brought into their national museum there, and so I'm going to be going through and identifying them.
Oh, okay.
So it's not going to be quite as exciting. No crocodiles.
Right.
Hopefully.
Can we ask you this question for you? What's the pinnacle of your career? What's been the pinnacle of your career so far?
I don't know. It's like it's hard to. I was, this trip I just did, like going after these river sharks was a big deal for me.
How big are the river sharks?
They get up to about 2.5, 3 meters, about 8-10 feet.
Okay.
Or so.
And are they feisty?
Yeah, a little snap. They're not, they're not like bull sharks.
Right.
They're like bull sharks. They're not like bull sharks.
Well, bull sharks. I mean, there's been attacks in way up rivers.
Bull sharks are kind of on the menu with them, but river sharks mostly eat like fish and stuff. They're not really, and in the areas they occur, people don't generally swim there because it's really muddy water.
Right.
It's very specific conditions, and there's crocodiles.
Well, and my question as a fisherman is, what bait did you use to catch them?
A special concoction that they have there. Yeah.
Really?
Special
They mix it up?
Yeah, with fish.
Is it a bag? Is that
No,
what they use?
no. It's,
Okay.
you just use some bait and just hook it up.
And were they fighters? Took a long time to get them to the boat?
No, they're pretty. Well, those guys know what they're doing. They, Pete and Julia know what they're doing. I just,
Yeah.
I'm just along for the ride.
So it wasn't a long time, like,
No, we got a couple of them in a couple hours, few hours and stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's not messing around.
Right here on
A couple
the,
hours.
on the screen, Jeanette Palenko Jessen says, my daughter and her husband added going to South Africa in November.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Should they in November? Should they go swimming in the ocean or?
Sure, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And if you,
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Just don't wear a belt of fish, I guess you could say. Like,
Just don't put anything that's putting off like electromagnetic rays. or
yeah,
anything.
don't wear a magnet.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
No, it's fine. I'd go, go swimming. I mean, around Cape Town it'll be cold. Durban will be kind of nice. Don't go swimming around the river mouths.
But they
up in
net a
Durban.
lot of the resort beaches, right? Don't they?
Well, yeah. The thing in Durban where they have the nets is because they have these rivers, where the water comes down. It's kind of muddy. Bull sharks like to go up the rivers to birth, and so and of course, as you may know, is like the surf breaks there are really the best places around the river mouths, and so that's where the shark attacks occur.
Well, you said one time on your previous shows, if it's cloudy, murky water,
Yeah.
you're part of the food chain.
Yeah. With bull shark, if you're in clear water, they'll tend to stay back a little bit. But when the water visibility goes down, then they get aggressive.
So when the water's a little murky, make sure Neil's wearing the magnet. Is what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
There you go.
I got that.
Dave Ebert, thanks for coming on the show tonight. And Dave receives a $50 gift certificate from the Hideout Restaurant in Applesauce.
Thank you, Hideout.
Coming on the show.
What a great restaurant.
That's great.
Hey, sitting around the fire pit down there, date night for sure.
Bring the
Yeah,
gal,
no,
bring the
your gal.
ladies over and have a little lunch on
I'm
The
telling
Off the
you,
Radio Show.
the fire pit in the front is the primetime seating down there.
Okay.
The food's delicious.
TC,
Thank you,
got a
Hideout.
bunch of shows coming up. Like I'm interviewing Kim DeSerper on Saturday.
Politician time.
Next politician time.
Yep.
I'm keeping you.
Thank you.
Out of it mostly.
Thank
Do you
you.
a favor.
Next week, though.
Tuesday, one of your favorite guests, Mr. The retiring police chief of Capitola, Mr. Andy Daly, is coming on the show.
You know what? I'm super pissed off. He's way too young to retire,
Yeah.
and Capitola needs
He's
him.
going to be dropping
stay.
in on me every.
And so,
Dude.
can we do the effort of our show?
Yeah.
should be to try to talk him out of retiring.
Exactly.
Yes, we need Andy Daly.
Yeah, he's going to be out there surfing every freaking day.
You know, he's
Right.
been. I've lived here a long time. He's the best police chief, Capitol chief ever had. So
Yeah.
we'll
Maybe
miss
we'll
ya.
find out who the new chief.
Well, he may talk about that. He may not, but because it is politics season.
Yep.
Dave Ebert.
Thank you.
We
Oh,
know we
social
love you.
media.
We love
Yeah,
you.
Lost Shark Eye on Instagram and Lost Sharks on Facebook.
And the field guides are amazing. And hold it, who's the artist?
Mark Dando,
Okay, Mark Dando, right?
artist extraordinaire.
It shocks
I mean,
The world.
Sharks of the World.
Smaller version.
Honestly, I will give you a plug. If you have a child who's interested in sharks, these books are literally
Yep.
incredible.
Amazon.com and Princeton University Press.
They're amazing. Well, we always love having you on the show. Your travel stories are amazing. I just feel like everybody wants to live your life, but they're scared.
TC, he
Yeah.
had one beer. The crocodile was 10 feet.
Did
He had
that?
two. He had
A
another
14-footer
Another
now?
beer. Then he had a margarita. That thing was 18
That thing
feet.
grew. Yeah, it's gigantic. Well, again, Dave Ebert,
Thank
awesome
you.
to have you back.
Yeah, we love you, Dave. You know that.
You're a
right?
legend.
Yeah, we love
He's
Dave.
named 53 sharks, people. Just imagine that. That is an incredible deal. Save our seas.
Save our seas.
Save
Thank
our
you very
seas.
much.
Thanks for sending them
Ocean
out there.
Census. Thank you.
Yeah, those guys rule. Neil, great show tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll swim tomorrow. We'll talk about it. Yeah. Good night, everybody. See you next week on the Off Lip Radio Show.